It's a bird.
It's a plane!
It's the Gloop guys.
Howdy, howdy, everybody. Today we have another exciting guest. Some might argue it's our most famous guest yet, Asante Hohn. We have a few things to go on to. Asante, just so everyone knows, is a PT, DPT, OCS. He's also the co-founder of FRVD Running Club. It's a Morristown-based running club. We are excited to have you, Asante.
Excited to be here. Excited to be here. Long awaited. Thank
Mm-hmm.
you,
Mm-hmm.
The long anticipated one. I've been ready for this one. I'm excited.
guys.
Yeah, so we definitely have a lot of stuff to talk about today. Now,
Oh yeah.
we have a few options to for what we start with. Asante, would you rather go into just running in general, some of the long runs you've done, maybe start talking about the running club? What do you think?
Yeah, I'm with that. Let's do it.
Let's start with his. I want to know about his running with it because that's what started the running club. He got so into it, and then the passion led into the running club. So let's talk about his first.
Mm-hmm. So, Asante, did you want to say something?
No, no. What were you gonna say?
So I know you've done some, short runs. You got a 50 miler, you got a 100 miler, you have the
Hmm
47 miler, the rim to rim at Grand Canyon.
I
hmm
don't even think I've done 5K in my life. That's the sad thing.
We have some room to catch up here, but that's okay.
Oh, but
You
Um,
can change that real quickly.
hey, once you get into it, it's not too bad. I'm up to my 7 miles now.
there we
Um,
go.
getting there. But Asante, could you just tell us a little bit about, I guess, just the mentality during long runs? Like, what are you thinking of? What keeps you going the whole time?
I certainly can, but this just came to me now, and I think of it every so often. You wouldn't know this, Tommy, and he probably wouldn't know this either. But
All right.
yeah, when I describe my running journey, um, Aaron and I are forever linked, and I wouldn't be on this running journey at all if it wasn't for Aaron. At the time,
Oh,
this is a fact. This is a fact. Of all,
Aaron seems excited about this one.
it's crazy to think about, but when you guys were introducing this just now, it made me think. My first experience with running more than a mile was the 5K that for some reason I agreed to with Aaron in grad school, in PT school. And from that, then that really didn't lead into anything immediately, but that was my first exposure. Then I did a half marathon. And you want to talk about mentality. I share this story. This is a true story. I started training for that half marathon. Really was kind of wasn't too committed with the training, was kind of half in, half out, very different than how I am now. But when I was doing that half marathon, I had a friend who passed away.
Oh,
And
So sorry.
yes, yes, thank you. And I wasn't really doing this in honor of him necessarily, but and I certainly wasn't voicing that, but in my head, I wanted to push myself. This would have been the hardest physical challenge I would have done at that time. And I was in my head pushing myself for him and praying for him. And during the race, praying to him. So halfway through that race, my leg, even now through all the running, that was the worst cramping I've experienced. And probably just because I was so inexperienced, didn't know anything about the fueling, the nutrition, the hydration, pre, post, or during. And so my leg, hip down, completely locked up, like couldn't move at the hip joint or at the knee joint or at the ankle joint. So I was just kind of swinging my hip around. And that happened at mile 6. And
I
this
was
is
gonna
my first,
ask. Jeez
yeah.
Louise.
Was it
We're
Yeah, so not
we're
even
halfway through the
halfway
race
through.
and we get it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Not even, yeah, we're just creeping up on halfway. And I remember this vividly. I'm like, this is not good. And everything I said before that race was, I'm gonna finish this without walking. Like that was my one goal. Wasn't running at a blistering pace, but at that time, I think I was running 9-minute miles, which is pretty good, like
Mm-hmm.
first half
Yeah.
marathon.
Yeah.
And halfway through that happened, and during the race, so you asked some of my mentality, this was it at the time and sometimes still is, but I was praying to my friend. I just said, "Just help me get through this." Like, just it's crazy to think about now because I shouldn't have kept going, or so I don't think, but I was able to finish that race, and it's just amazing, like, I mean, people believe what they want, but I certainly felt like he was there with me, and a large part of the reason why I was able to get it done that on that day. So that's just kind of, to this day, one of my most pivotal points in my running journey, and, yeah, it's my mentality has shifted since then, but, as I've gained
Yeah.
I
experience.
almost think that like it makes sense that you push through it though, because it's like you train for like months, if not years, to get to the point to do it. So although it was pretty terrible and pretty painful, like you
Mhm.
train for so long, you gotta push through it. You gotta do it, especially with
I
something
just
like
like
that, sort of boosting you from behind.
I was gonna say I just like I'm very spiritual and I like that just like this like the it shouldn't have happened like you shouldn't have been able to continue to go on it should have like impeded you it should have stopped you and made you walk but it just continued to kind of drive you and fuel you to finish the race like that's some divine intervention type of stuff right there that's wild.
I like that.
Absolutely. Yeah, man.
I mean, that's
Yeah.
It
definitely
makes me feel
one of the coolest stories we've had so far, honestly.
I got chills I'm over here man
Yeah.
like give me goosebumps with that stuff.
It's a true story too, that's why I said it that way. I mean, I don't say this just to, like, be dramatic, that's really what happened,
Mm-hmm.
and,
Yeah, and for someone who's now run like 50 miles 100 miles like
yeah,
going back to like how you first started to run, I also amazes me too. I would have taken you as somebody who had even done like ran like their entire life and whatnot. So no track or anything like that in high school, middle school, nothing like that.
nothing like that. People are, and especially people in the club, they always wanna know my backstory, and they are taken back, or at least surprised when they hear, "Yeah, I had no experience with that stuff. My first marathon was pathetic." And Aaron, you say, "Yeah, you should have finished." That's to be expected if you train the right way, but this
That's
goes
true.
into it. Yeah, I wasn't committed to the training process at all.
Mm.
I was, I would just say I was half-assing it, and that also followed through life. Like, it's amazing I was able to get through PT school in the fashion that I did. I'm proud of myself, but I feel like I left so much on the table. I think I always could have been a better student, could have been a better, more committed athlete in certain ways, and most aspects of my life could have been more committed. But now at the point I'm at, I certainly feel that I'm able to I've decided what's important to me, and I've made these things my priority. And that's why I'm very happy with the person that I've become now. And
But
yeah,
like, even like with all that being said, like, do you regret how you did it? Like, I know for me with PT school, like I did pretty well, but I definitely could have done better. But I like in order for me to do better, I would have had to give up on some of the like the social things and like the relationships that I got because of it too. Like I if I studied as much as some people in our class, I wouldn't have gone out to like Hoboken. I wouldn't have gone to a lot of the events that we did. And a lot of the people I still like talk to today. Like we're even doing this. Like we're still close. We still talk every once in a while, once in a blue moon. Um, but I sort of for that reason don't regret maybe not doing as well in PT school as I could have. Like do you think that sort of follows along the same lines, or you still wish you did a little bit more?
I certainly, the interesting thing is I don't regret it at all. And that's true. That's truly how I feel. I heard somebody say something one time and it stands out with me. They said, like, you did what you knew how to do at that time. And I firmly
Yeah.
believe I don't regret it, and I agree with you. Um, I think I did the best that I could at that time, but as I look back, it makes sense. Like, I
That's
just
always the that's the what ifs, you know. We always live with the what ifs and looking back on that stuff, but ultimately that was It was fate that kind of led you down that path in the way that it was supposed to happen, and it led you to where you are now. If you go back and you change how we did things back then, we might not be sitting here on making this podcast. You might not be sitting there with the running club going on and all the success you've had with that. So things happen the way they're supposed to. It went down how it was supposed to.
Yeah, and life is a
So
big learning process. We're supposed to get something out of it and mess up along the ways.
Mistakes are just lessons. I love Bob Ross. There's no mistakes. It's just happy little accidents.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
for
But
sure.
going a little bit more into it, so we got past the first half marathon. We got into a few more things. I think I might have heard this story from you before, but what made you decide to do like the first 50 miler?
Thinking of the way things work out. So half marathon, very pivotal point in my journey, but that situation was extremely pivotal for me in my running career and again in my life. When I was going down there to this event called Running Man, it's sponsored and set up by All Day Running and Jesse Itzler, if you've heard of him.
Mm-hmm.
If you've heard of David Goggins,
Yeah.
Jesse
I think everybody had to have at this
at
point.
this point, right? So Jesse and David have a story that is very linked, but you should definitely go look into that. So, anyways, Jesse launched this company alongside a few other people, and they put on this event. And this is like a running festival that I was gearing up to go to. And at that time, I was dealing with a lot um, mentally and not feeling the best. And then also physically, I was training to run the 50K, not 50 miles, the 50K for that event, which would have been 31 miles. And that would have been the most that I'd done at that period. I'd done a marathon in 2019. Again, pretty, I like to describe it as just, it was mediocre, put it like that. But, running here and there on and off, I'd run for a few months, half-ass the training, stop, and then pick it up again. And so that was 2 years ago for this Running Man Festival. I'm training. I do a 20-mile run. Achilles is bothering me. I have to limp home. I'm like, this is a week before this event, 2 weeks before. And I'm like, I really didn't even want to go at that point. I was just kind of bummed out, but I go down anyways, and the event just changed my life. Most amazing event I've ever been to. They brought in speakers, some of the best runners in the world, some of the best athletes, triathletes in the world, and they had a panel at night. I was sitting next to a gentleman who I had met that day and who is now one of my best friends. We ran through the Grand Canyon together, and then we went on to run 100 miles together, but we only met that day. And that same day, as we're sitting there listening to these speakers on this stage, um, I, again, I don't say this to be dramatic. This is what really happened. I was so swept up, and to put it in perspective, I told you all that stuff before because I was in such a bad mental state, just negative. Um, I was so moved, truly moved, that I looked to Jeremy and said, I think I want to try to run 50 tomorrow, 50 miles. And I did it. And I did it, which is crazy. I went from
That
running,
is insane.
it's insane. It's insane. I went from 26 in my life, like I'd done a marathon, 20 in training with a bum Achilles, to going there and the very next day running 50 in 9 hours, which
Wow.
is
That's
pretty
actually that's actually absurd. Like, so you went there originally with the idea and the mentality of like, all right, tomorrow I'm running the 50K, and just
50K.
after all of that, you just switched. Hey, you know what? We're doing 50 miles instead.
Exactly. I'm gonna run the 50K. I'm gonna give it my best shot. Uh, this is why I know this is a true story. This is really how it happened. And ever since then, my brain, it hasn't gone back. Like it that event really changed me and my trajectory. And that's why to me, running 100 miles, it wasn't all that crazy. Not when I had heard from some of these people on that stage and been around some of these people. And it all really started there.
Hmm. So that was like a
That's
turning
just
point.
inspiring. Yeah.
That was a turning point. That's what I was looking for. That was a turning point.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's just inspiring. It inspired you to just, you know what, like you damn near doubled the amount of miles that you were planning on running. Now,
Yeah.
question, so up until that point you had trained to run the 50K. I mean, were was it just a lot more of like mental preparation to go those extra 20 miles essentially? Like, I mean, that's a pretty significant difference in numbers for race like preparation when you think about it.
Mhm. Mhm. The way in my head that night before, I was like, "Look, I'm gonna do it, but I'm gonna go in with a game plan." So what I did was I blocked it off into 5-mile increments. I was like, "All right, if I can knock out the 5 miles within the hour, what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna walk through the aid stations and walk a bit and then run again with the remaining time. But I'm not gonna allow myself to, let an hour go by without me knocking out at least 5 miles. So I approached it that way. In the beginning, I was knocking out, I think I knocked out maybe 6 or 7 the first mile, something like that, and just tried to conservatively pace myself. But now I'm thinking about it now, what I did was formulate a game plan, and then I split it up into those chunks and just tackled it. And this event allowed the course was open, I think, 10 hours. So the time was there. It was a lot of it. If I could run 5 10-hour chunks, I could get it done. Um, and so yes, that's how I went about it on that day. But again, none of this was planned until that night before. So
So I do have to
I
ask,
mean,
how was the Achilles?
it
yeah.
was non-existent. I didn't feel a thing. I
Hmm.
didn't feel it. Now again, that was 2 weeks prior. So physiologically, I guess it's enough time for a tendon to calm down in that period, right?
Yeah.
In an
But
acute stage, yeah, definitely.
right?
Yeah, like maybe it never got so bad that it was able to heal in that amount of time.
Yes.
I'm just getting inspired from the stories, right? I just have to pause and say, like, this is just I feel like I tomorrow can go run 50 miles. I know I can't, but like,
You
damn,
can, you can, you
it
can.
might take me more than 10 hours, Asante, but I'll need a little bit more time allotted.
Oh,
Hey, well, I'll
cool.
say this to whoever's listening. Yeah, if you ever want to give it a shot, I will run alongside you. I mean, Aaron, we've got this Spartan race coming up, so we're gearing up for that.
I'm really
Uh,
excited for it. I think we'll have a good time.
I mean, I don't know if you're doing the Spartan race.
Tommy is not doing the Spartan race.
You know, okay,
No, I'm not right now. No.
okay. I would, yeah.
When is that race again?
July 12th.
Oh, yeah, I'll be back from Italy, but
I mean, a,
Oh,
not this current
shit.
moment.
a little backstory is basically we have 8 of us actually doing it. Yeah, Tommy, you could always come if you want to. I mean, there's always room for more people. But it's basically a Spartan
Send me the
race.
details.
Yeah, the Spartan race is a 5K with 20 obstacles, and it's all uphill because it's in the Poconos. So it should be a challenge. Because I've
I'm gonna
done,
join. I have to start the training then.
yeah, you would definitely have to. That's why I've been running 7 miles because I'm trying to get my endurance a little more. Because I basically want to be able to use running more as like a heart rate decreaser instead of making it like just make me even more tired. Because a
Mhm.
lot of times I'll do like obstacle course workouts at home, and the running used to be the part where I was like getting more and more tired, so it would just be like impossible to do it. But now that I've been running 7 miles, if I do 2 or 3 miles and like 15 or 20 exercises, then I won't be as out of breath with the running part. I'll be able to tolerate the actual exercises a little bit better. Does that make sense?
It does make sense. It does.
At least that's the thought process.
Hey, it's a good way to approach the training. I like that.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
So delving back into Asante's the races, how
Yeah.
far after was the 100-mile race?
Yeah. So again, I wouldn't have ran that 100-mile race if I wasn't invited or asked to by Jeremy, who I met that day, one of the nicest guys. And I have other stories about him. Uh, just an amazing person. But he had asked me maybe a few months after that event finished. if I wanted to attempt it with him in the upcoming October, which was this past October 2024.
Mm-hmm.
Very nice.
So is he also the same guy you made the running club with?
No, I've started this running club with Freddie Martinez, who we actually went to high school together, but didn't really know each other in high school. And you were kind of saying something. About fate and how things work out. Um, if we just the thing, the line, everything just got connected for us to start this together. And so, yes, Freddie Martinez is my partner. We started this run club together.
So is he's
And
a, I mean obviously he's a big runner, but does he have a similar experience as you? Like you sort of came up later in life, or was he all, like a high school runner or college runner or anything?
Freddie did soccer, but no, he was not a traditional runner, which is something we relate on. And he has a very different running background. I mean, he likes to run the marathon distance, but he is not an into the ultra distances,
Mm-hmm.
and perfectly fine. There's a lot of ways to tackle running. You don't have to go out and run these absurd distances. Now I've kind of cut it back, and now I'm focusing on the marathon distance and trying to not go farther for longer at a slower pace, but go shorter distances at a faster pace and work on a lot of anaerobic stuff and work on building my speed with a lot of tempo and speed work.
Mm.
So there's a lot of ways to approach your running.
So I guess what's the next goal for the next year or two, as far as running?
It could be really soon, tentatively, and I should know by now, but I'm tentatively doing Boston in April. So
That's
if I
awesome.
do that, yeah, it'll be pretty cool because my first and only official marathon, even though I've run a lot more, was 4 hours and 35 minutes, which
Mm-hmm.
again, to me, I was walking through some of that.
Mm-hmm.
I was, it was, I half-assed the training. But to go from that as my first one to what I think I'm going to run in Boston would be, it's a story where anyone can do it.
Mm-hmm.
Anyone can, because yeah, I have some natural talents, that's for sure. I definitely do, but I wasn't a good runner,
Mm-hmm.
not at all. So I'll be proud to share that with other people and
So you wouldn't want to disclose of what the goal is, or not too
goal.
sure yet? Yeah. What's the goal time?
Well, the goal, anything under 3 hours is great for me. I would feel good with that, but I'd like to I'd like to push the limits for
Yeah.
me.
I mean, under
Uh,
3 hours would be very impressive.
that would be very impressive. Now, Asante, I do have one question. In case I'm misunderstanding, you are running the Boston Marathon, or we're waiting and seeing if we're running the Boston Marathon?
We're waiting and seeing. It's a long story. I was, and then now I'm potentially not. But if I'm not, then I certainly am next year. So it might just be pushed off until next year, and I'll keep you guys posted, of course.
Yeah. So it's just a
And we're
matter of
gonna
time.
definitely have you back.
Yeah.
Got her.
Oh no, I was just saying it's just a matter of time. We get to do it
Yeah.
eventually. I mean, I would say
Yeah,
that's probably the most prestigious marathon in the U.S., right?
for
So
sure.
just being there, regardless of how you do, would probably be pretty amazing.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah. It's all about the experience with it.
do you think you'd have like a backup plan, like a backup marathon for the year, just in case, or you just want to see how that plays out?
That's a good question, and this is my honest answer. I really am so happy and content in my life, and I've done a good amount in running. And this ties in also to your last question about my goal time. I'm gonna do whatever feels right, and I'm what I mean by that is I'm in no rush to do any race. I'm gonna do whatever comes to me and feels like I should be doing. But the way that I live my life now, I set out a task at the top of the year. I said, okay, if I'm gonna run Boston, this is my little task to myself or test to myself. Uh, I was never much of a drinker, but haven't had any alcohol. I said I'm gonna sleep at least 7 hours every night and preferably 8 and up. I'm gonna hydrate and I'm going to focus on my nutrition to the best of my ability every day. And honestly, I've been able to do that. And so, whatever the result is, I wanted to pour everything I had into this objective of mine, which was this race. And then when the race comes, whatever the outcome is, I can live with it. I really honestly don't really care that much. But I want to be able to get there and say I poured everything into this and let's see what I can produce when I do that.
Yeah, so you
You know,
I
care
love it.
more about the process than the
the
actual race
process
itself. Yeah.
and being
Yeah,
disciplined to myself, holding myself to a standard, holding myself accountable.
Mm-hmm.
it's competition with you and only you and yourself. It's like you versus yourself. You want to push yourself to the limit to see what you can get out of it, which
Mm-hmm.
is amazing. Which is honestly the best competition.
Mm-hmm.
And again, if you think of everything that I've told you about the person that I was, there's no way I would have had the guts to actually do that. I would have wavered with the training, and that's why I'm proud of where I'm at because yes, I've taken that step.
Yeah, it's just sort of crazy how different we are. I mean, even just a span of that's probably like 5 or 6 years, right? Where you've gone through all that, changed that much. Like, and in the grand scheme of things, like 5 or 6 years really isn't that much time.
No, it's a
Yeah,
blip.
yeah.
Goes by fast.
Keys
Now,
Louise.
taking this and kind of morphing it now into a little bit of the running club. Was there a specific moment that you knew that like okay, like I want to go and start this running club? Where along we've just laid out the timeline. Where in that timeline did this running club come along?
It's funny, but at that event at Running Man, I have a friend right now who he's one of my best friends, and he's also a nomad. He and his now fiance, they spend maybe 6 to 8 weeks in a location, and then they're on to the next, and they
Mm.
just uh, keep moving. So I meet this guy as I'm running around doing this 50 miles, and I can't recall when I met him, but I just remember us running several loops of this together. And after during the race, we got friendly with each other, and we stayed connected after. One of the best guys I know, and he's helped me a lot. My buddy Sean, and so maybe a year goes by or so since Running Man. No, actually, definitively, it was July. So let's say 7, 8 months. Um, and he's like telling me I should start a running club. And for me, the crazy part is I run at that point alone and have only run alone all the time. I'd probably run with someone with the exclusion of a race 3 to 5 times, literally,
Mm-hmm.
in my life.
Yeah.
So that wasn't something that I'd done. And he said it, and that just kind of was what it was. Then he said it again, and I just said, he kind of challenged me to do it, is the way I took it, but in a good way. And so when I got back home at some point, just said, I'm just gonna do it. I'm gonna start this running club. And I started reaching out to some people locally, and I geared up to make it happen, and within a week or two, got ready to launch this. And a few days before I got ready to launch, I'm at work working on a patient. My phone's blowing up. Someone who I reached out to couldn't make it to the run, but he said, you should talk to Freddie, who uh, is also doing similar things. And that gentleman went out of his way to connect us in a group chat where we then from that point on, after I finished work, I got on the phone with Freddie, and this is a day before I was going to launch this first run. And we immediately, even as we are now, immediately were as excited as we were then, as we are now, about the possibility. That next day, we had 9 people, 9 males, all guys, in a park, in a random park for this run, which was awesome. We were so happy. Uh, we were so happy, and there's documentation of this. At our peak in July and August, whenever we had over 200 people for
Wow.
one
Wow.
sound
That's
green,
crazy.
and women, dogs, you name it. And that was within the span of a few weeks. We maybe a month, 2 months, maybe 2 months after
Wow.
we launched.
You got some good
So
Wow.
connections there.
it's just I can't say it enough. It's crazy how things work out. Yeah.
So what's next
Yeah.
for the club? What do you see in the future?
See in the future, that's a great question. And what I will say, we actually just got off the phone, so I just said this actually. But what we would like to do is be in a position where we can influence the running world. You
Hmm.
said, we're a Morristown-based club in the intro, and I was like, yeah, we are. That's for sure. And Morristown is our home base, and we represent that, and we're from Morristown, both of us. But we certainly want to be recognized at the very least statewide, countrywide, and worldwide, hopefully, and influence the running world. And it may be a way that we can spread our mission, which we feel like we have a good mission, um, and
So now
maybe
you
other
have to
ways.
tell us what the mission is.
Yeah.
Well, in a nutshell, we're just a very inclusive club. I mean, I think that's been a lot of our success, and that's what I take pride in, is we're very inclusive. And I think a lot of running is like inspiring. A lot of stories are inspiring. You just heard mine. There's other similar stories. But my life was changed through an event based on running. And hopefully, I know for a fact this club has changed many of the members' lives. I know that for a fact. And hopefully that can continue again, statewide, countrywide, and worldwide level. The power of running, the influence of running, a lot of that is within our mission.
Yeah, and like you said, it could be anybody. It could be someone like you doing 50 miles, even the half marathon, or it could be someone just trying to lose some weight, trying to be able to even run a mile or run a 5K.
I mean, if we think about it, Asante started out as a guy who just decided to run a 5K with a friend in grad school, and it blew up to what this is now. It could be, it starts there, but the end is infinite. It goes on for as long as you want.
It really is funny though, going back to the 5K, because I don't know why we did the 5K either.
That's just been the entire time Asante's been telling these stories. That's been stuck in my head. It's like all this started because he ran a 5K with Aaron. Like that's insane.
Yeah. Like I thought we had a great time, but it was us two and then our friend Kaylee. And Kaylee's not a runner. We're not runners. Like I don't know what came over us.
It was just the strangest thing.
Yeah.
That's just amazing. The whole thing is just is nutty.
Oh, I wish I
It's
wore
another
that shirt.
You should have. I'm mad at you for not wearing it
Yeah,
now.
the Seton Hall 5K shirt.
Farinella, yep, 5K Farinella. I still
Is that the
got
one
it.
that just goes around the loop? That one?
Yeah,
Yep. Yep. You do
I
three
don't know
Just
if
right
they
laps
in the
still
around.
middle.
do. If they still do it, I've got to go back there and run that at
That
some
would
point.
be fun. That would be
Yeah,
actually a great
Yeah.
idea. Just to
get
go
a we
back
get a
one
few
year.
alumni.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
I'll just say one other thing is, along with the mission, just to cap that off, the power of running with other people. I think that's been a theme in my journey. So if you can surround yourself with other people, I think it amplifies your running experience. That's just one tip I would have for people out there in many
Yeah. I
ways.
mean, just think about like the people that you got to meet and the lessons that you learned with them and the stories that they told you and the things that inspired you to get to like where all this is at now is just truly amazing. It's even like me, like I'm not very, into to running so much, but it just shows like that those connections and how valuable they are, you know?
So I'll give you a scenario here, Sante. I'm a random guy on the street and I'm thinking of getting into running. What would be your pitch for joining the running club? Um, What are the benefits? What are the negatives? Why would some random person off the street want to join
Well, I've given this pitch, so I can deliver it to
He's like, I run this every day, Aaron. Let's
I know
you.
you're probably giving it
Well,
a
get this
thousand
man
times by
running,
now.
Aaron. Asante, get this man running.
well, I think the thing too is I know for a fact, going back to the stories that I've had, what's possible. So I think even within our club, we have a wall club, for example, that's made it very inclusive. And I think the bigger thing in our profession, we are movement specialists, is movement. And if you can get in that environment, then I think things will start to fall into place for you. Whether you decide, it affects everyone differently. So I would just I would just encourage the person to be open to movement at whatever their pace is. One of the beauties of my club and maybe others out there is we have these pace groups. So we have the walkers, that's a walk club, and we're fortunate enough to have people leading an 11-minute group, a 10-minute group, a 9-minute group, and then 8 and up. But those guys typically just like carry the pace forward and push the pace. But that's 4 different groups in addition to a walk club. So for the person on the street, you'll probably find a group that you can mesh well with, and everyone, to my knowledge, is very welcoming. Typically the people that go to those types of things, you would hope at least, are welcoming and inclusive.
It reminds me a lot of just like being on a sports team in general. Like, you know, I played football in high school, rugby in college, even just like intramurals that we all played together. Like it gives you like a common goal, a common thing to gather around. That I mean, it's very inspiring. First of all, then you just like develop a relationship when you're like working with people every day. I mean, I guess I mean more like working physically, like exercising. Like it builds some type of camaraderie that you're not just gonna get just sitting and staring at a wall or watching a TV show.
Yeah, it's you've got each other's backs in that sense, you know. It's like we all have those moments, especially like it's happened in rugby before. I was on a swim team prior to rugby also, and it's just like, when you're in some of those ruts, it's always good to have a teammate or, somebody just kind of like have you back and boost you up. So it's good.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
Yeah,
You push
absolutely.
each other to the limits. That's the awesome part of it.
Yeah.
Now, Asante, just pure curiosity, are you guys thinking about like hosting like events and stuff in the future, like races and stuff too? Is that on the list?
Yes, it's on the list. We have hosted, or we were co-hosts, let's say, with 2 other run clubs on a 10K, which was awesome in Jersey City. That was
Awesome.
through Liberty State Park. It was beautiful. Very windy that day, but we got it done. And we're looking to definitely host more events and races in the future, but a lot of ironing out to do, I'll say. A lot of ironing out, a lot of things to clear up and
Of
Yeah, I
course.
could imagine there's a lot of stuff behind the scenes that goes into one of those. Like
I
you,
yes.
am just going to say, I'm going to put this out there, and I'm going to say yes for this specific person in general too. I'm going to give us both the definite yes for that's going to
Oh
happen.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
Um, if you host one, let us know when, and Aaron and I are going to definitely run it. We talked to the side. He already said yes. He's very down for it. We're going to do it.
I was
All
actually
right.
thinking that I would definitely do one. That sounds like fun.
Yeah, Aaron, we got to get Glute Guy shirts made up, and we're running that. That's advertising right there. We're running just ads.
Oh, please. Yeah. Please. 'Cause people are gonna be like, who are these guys?
The glue guys, what's going on?
What do you mean? Yeah, we might have to get like shorts that just say glute guys right on the glutes.
They just
There's
gotta
some
be
advertising.
3 to 5 inch, the splitties, the running. Get you better.
No, but in all seriousness, if you do ever you guys have a race that you're hosting, let us know, and I think that'd be awesome too. Also,
Absolutely. That would be an honor. That would be great.
I'll put a GoPro right on my forehead and record the whole thing.
Do it,
Aaron,
man.
what if we record a podcast while we're running?
A live
Ooh.
podcast while running. We need to get into
It
shape.
it's gonna be hard to hear us when I'm coughing the entire time because my asthma. But
I think that
Oh,
if it was a 10K, I think I would feel pretty comfortable doing that with a
yeah,
GoPro. Like I because I've been doing 7 miles, so I could already do it. I mean, I'm not gonna go quick, but I could definitely get that done and have some conversation along the way. I would think.
I think that'd be something fun to think about. But first priority is if Asante or when Asante is gonna host a race with the run club that we're there in support.
Mm-hmm.
absolutely.
Now, Asante, we were talking about this before we started recording a little bit, but you got that nice hat on right now.
Oh yeah.
So that's some merch in the works, right?
This is merch in the works. This is the world's first look at it. So I'll bring it close to the camera so you can get a look at our logo
I like it.
and
It looks very good. It really does. Even on second glance, it looks even better.
the back.
I love the drawstring with it. Like that's
Thank you.
amazing. That's something unique.
The drawstring is fantastic.
So this is just a thank you. I really appreciate that. I mean, I've got to get you these on your guys' heads, so don't worry. But it's all new to me. I mean, again, this is a two-man show, and we definitely get help from other people and volunteers, but at the end of the day, it's just Freddie and myself, and we've been able to do some great things, and part of that is the merch, which we take time to produce and think about. And it's been amazing just to see some of the pieces that have come out and to be able to deliver that to people who actually want this stuff. Like it's amazing to see that they're proud to wear the brand and they want to. Like they're looking forward for cool things to drop. But that's why we take our time. We don't just put out things of lesser quality, or we try not to. At least we're still learning, but we try.
Mm-hmm.
That just shows that you're passionate about it. You're putting all of it into it.
Yeah, and for anyone who doesn't know, you guys have an Instagram page. So that's just FRVD, right? Yeah.
Dot run.
What's that?
FRVD dot run.
Dot run.
Dot run.
Oh,
Excuse
geez.
me for a
Did
second.
I
I'm
look up
gonna.
the wrong thing?
Dot run.
Oh, wow. Then what's this other FRVD?
That is the main page of you can think about like the run club as a branch of that.
Oh, interesting. That's pretty cool, though. This whole
Right,
time, I thought
Asante?
that the I didn't know the dot run was.
Oh, you haven't seen the run club page.
No, I've been
I've
looking
now
at
I've followed
FRVD.
both.
That's us.
I followed.
That's
I now followed both
oh sweet. Sweet.
while we were on here.
Well, thank you. I appreciate that.
But you guys do have some very nice merch. I mean, it seems like. Oh no, you got a bunch of pictures on the FRD.run too.
Yeah, you should check it out. I mean, we're pretty proud of the stuff that we put out. We put a lot of like, work into the content, and Freddie's been amazing with that. He has like a great vision of how to put things together. So it's been great working alongside and learning from him.
What does Freddie do for a living?
That's part of the beauty, and I think why we've been able to scale and bring this vision to life. We've always felt pretty confidently that we can do it. Is he is I wouldn't say a brand strategist, but he focuses on marketing and, for example, he's built websites for certain companies and he still does, I believe. But he does a lot with just branding, marketing, and he has always wanted to start a run club. Again, to tell some of his side before we met, I was trying to do my thing. He had tried to start a run club as well, and he struggled to get it off the ground really and gain some momentum. So he paused, and then when he had heard that I was, starting my journey, he was excited and ready to jump on board. And then we just kind of brought it together and brought it to life, and I've been able to make it successful as a team. So there's no shot I could have done this by myself. And he would say the same. And I can't even imagine doing it. I mean, I don't like I can't. Can you guys imagine being the glue guy?
Yeah, it's getting on here, just
Yeah.
myself, just recording or Aaron. It's no, it's that's worlds colliding right there. Like
Yeah.
definitely.
And as you grow, you're gonna have more people you work with too. Like it's just
Yeah,
inevitable that you're gonna
absolutely.
have to have people for it.
Absolutely. So, for example, we have track day coming up this weekend, led by, again, I'm a runner, but this isn't, I'm not a track coach, but Coach Dan and Marissa. He's a high school track coach. Marissa's a very established runner in her own right. She's faster than I am. She kicked my ass at the 10K and won it outright. So they're both more than capable, and they're leading our track day, which is this upcoming weekend. And our first one was a big hit. People are excited and ready to do the second one. So people are coming along and helping out in capacities such as that, which has been amazing.
So you were saying like you want to expand to the rest of the New Jersey, to the rest of the country. What's the plan to expand? I guess just throughout New Jersey. Just keep doing what you're doing. Keep hosting events. Get your name out there.
Absolutely.
And
Absolutely. It's just been flowing very naturally, but also intentionally.
mhm.
We're very intentional about what we try to do. Um,
I mean, it sounds
so
like you guys have a good, like you said, you have a good mission, vision, and goal. You
still,
guys,
Oh no.
yeah. Um, but I mean, that's how you got to do it. And the fact that you actually have gotten so big so fast is also so impressive.
There.
Like,
blessing for sure.
I know
For
us
sure.
us Glute guys are, we're on the slow grind here, waiting to hit it big one day. Of course, we have some room to improve too, but that's going to be anything. We try to make it a little bit better every time. Go from there. You
Yeah.
know, see how it goes.
Yes.
Week in, week out. That's all part of the process, though. It's all part of the journey with it, and which is why I love these kinds of things. It's like you learn from mistakes, you make changes, and you see what happens.
Hmm.
Absolutely.
All of it's a
Um,
blessing, and all of it's a lesson.
yeah.
I mean, I think that might be a good time to wrap it up for the day. Dr. Tom, Dr. Asante, anything else you guys could think of?
Had an amazing time being here, man. I can honestly
Ah,
say that. Love you guys. And, I'll do this again.
yeah.
I would
I
love
I
mean,
mean, we definitely appreciate it. You really
yeah,
were. Like, I think you did a great job. Like this was very inspirational, first of all, and some of the stories were like pretty crazy, honestly.
I
And
truly just have to say, like this, the stories inspired me, Sante. Like knowing you for a while and hearing the stories and the journey, like this is just it's amazing. Like I love that you're getting this as far as you want it to get, and it's continuing to grow into everything that you want it to be. It's fantastic.
and we got to start thinking about doing that Seton Hall 5K again.
hey, get a team together. Let's get a team together.
Yeah.
When is that 5K typically? Is it coming up? Usually, like
Uh,
it's I want to say March or April. No,
this is
I want to
saying
say it is. I think you're right. I think March sounds
there
familiar
was
to me.
there was I typed in Seton Hall 5K and it said October 14th, 2023. And for
Okay.
some reason, I don't see one for 2024.
we're
Hopefully,
gonna
that
have to email
doesn't
Seton
mean.
Hall.
Yeah, hopefully that doesn't mean it's not a thing anymore. No, Sunday, November 2024. But I'm not seeing the
Or
results
maybe it's a fall
anywhere.
thing. All right. Well, this upcoming fall, we'll have to gear it up.
I don't know. All right.
Yeah.
Well,
We'll check it out.
yeah, we'll definitely try to look it up and try it out. Yeah, if it's like not November, October, I mean that's definitely doable. It seems like for all of us.
Keep an eye out for it, and maybe
Mm-hmm.
we'll record while we're doing it.
But with that, thanks everybody for watching. go follow Asante, FRVD No, Did I get it right? I did get it right. Follow Asante on Instagram. Go to one of the events they have. Have fun. Thanks for watching.
Get out
Have
there
a
and
nice
run.
night.